Hi, RAM fans. This is Miley Martin from Student Activities at Fresno City College. And RAM 30 is all about meeting inspirational Fresno City College alumni and community members who have an amazing story to tell. Today, we are meeting an educational trailblazer and remarkable alumni who transferred to UC Davis in 2010. Please welcome Sergey Saluschev. Hi.
Hi, Miley. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this kind introduction.
Oh gosh, you're wonderful. So good to see you. Now, I know it's been a little bit of time since we last saw you on campus. You were the Associated Student Government President for a year, I believe. And I just have great memories of everything you did on campus.
Thank you.
So tell me, you are currently a graduate teaching assistant at UC Santa Barbara.
Correct. Yes. Technically, I have a title of PhD candidate, and this summer I'm working as a teaching associate. I'm teaching my own upper division class. Um, but throughout our regular year, I also sometimes work as a teaching assistant and participate in students' discussion sections and do all the grading for any given class.
So you've been pretty busy.
I have been, yes. This summer has been especially busy, and a lot of it has to do with the outbreak of global pandemic, COVID-19, which disrupted educational process on our campus in a variety of very dramatic ways. And it pushed a lot of people to find ways to graduate on time because the pandemic happened right at the last weeks of the spring quarter here on our campus, and many students had to scramble and leave the campus very quickly because the news of suspension of regular teaching came very suddenly for us. So many students had to leave campus, go back home, and try to find a way to finish their classes, finish their exams, submit their papers on time. And not everybody could do it for many good reasons. So this summer has been pretty busy. We have an increased influx of students trying to take all the classes they need to graduate, or other students who are coming in and also want to start taking upper division classes to begin the education as well.
So I know you're helping with teaching there. How did the instructors, were they able to pivot quickly to online, or was there a learning curve as well there?
There's definitely been a learning curve, even for me, trying to integrate aspects of the class that I'm teaching this summer session that normally teach in a classroom in person, to try to transform it online has been a challenge. I mean, just one thing, for example, are DSPS students, disability students who need normally extra time and proctoring to take exams. Now everything, since it shifted online, there has to be special accommodations created. So I have to be extra more cognizant to their needs and find ways to use technology appropriately to allow sufficient amount of time for students to learn and take exams when we need to. Other professors struggled with, having to record their lectures online and posting them in Course Gaucho space, which is and something I'm still struggling with. There's just something strange about recording yourself and listening to sound of your voice on video. You have to also learn how to edit videos, something that's, there's definitely many more challenges that emerged as a result of this change. But at the same time, it pushes us to do better. It gives us an opportunity to learn more skills. So it's not all bad news, I would say.
Right, you're so true. So I'd like to hear a little bit about your journey after you transferred to UC Davis. What did you major in there? And I know you did you finished your master's, you're working on your PhD. I'd like to just hear a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So I finished a transfer to UC Davis after completing my associate degrees at Fresno City College. And there I spent 2 years taking classes, and then eventually transferring to UC Santa Barbara. At UC Davis, I had opportunity. So I'm going to close my window. There's like a lot of noise.
Oh yeah, fine.
Another beauty of the Zoom universe. UC Davis, I had an opportunity to work as an undergraduate peer advisor. So I guess there's been kind of a pattern of me continuing working with students and being involved in education. So that was a very rewarding experience as well. I finished my bachelor's degree within 2 years, and then I applied to graduate school at UC Santa Barbara in the Department of Global International Studies. It's a master's program. And I also had a fantastic time being a graduate student in that program. I had a chance during one of the summers to work as an intern at Clinton Global Initiative in New York. So I got it was a very, tall buildings. I was working on 25th floor or something like that. Getting a lot of skills as what it's like to work in an office environment. Had a chance to meet former President Bill Clinton, which is also kind of cool.
Wow.
That was nice. And then my time in that program culminated with conducting research in Turkey and writing my master's thesis. So I spent close to 3 months working and living in Istanbul in Turkey, writing my thesis. And after I came back to my campus, I was finishing the last remaining requirements of my master's degree and thinking about what to do next. And there were several options, so I was considering all of them. And I decided to also apply to a PhD program in the Department of History and met a few wonderful professors in what is now my department today. And we had very good conversations and we kind of explored the possibilities of me possibly working with them. And I decided to apply and I was accepted. I received the generous financial support from the department to enable me to continue my education. And that's how it all kind of came to the present moment.
You are amazing. Now, you have a strong accent. I know you are, I think, Russian, I believe. And
Correct.
Russian was your first language. I
Right.
remember
Yeah.
meeting your mom. Your mother was going to school as well
Yes.
at
You
Fresno
went to the
College.
SVP for a
Yes,
couple of years.
yes. Um, English is your second language, and you must speak quite a few languages, I'm guessing.
Yes, I have to. Well, the reason I said I have to because as a historian, you need to know languages in order to be able to work with documents, interpret them, and read them. And the nature of my research requires me to, if not be fluent in languages, but at least know the foundational knowledge of those languages to be able to read documents and translate them if necessary. So I've been studying Spanish when I was in Fresno City College. I took Spanish for a couple of years. I got an associate degree from Fresno City College in Spanish. So sometimes when I have to deploy my Spanish language skills, I do that. I'm not very fluent at it, and I probably can't have a sophisticated conversation about politics, but I can have a normal, simple conversation to chat with somebody. And since leaving Fresno City College, I studied Farsi, Persian, and I recently started learning Arabic and Georgian language. And Georgian language, I was conducting research for almost a year while living in the Republic of Georgia in the Caucasus. So I started to learn Georgian language there. Again, I'm not definitely by any stretch imagination fluent, but I'm learning enough to be able to read documents and translate them.
So I'm so curious, what brought you to Fresno? I know you mentioned you lived in Germany and
Yeah, so I was born in Germany, and then a lot of it also has to do with, I guess, history of Europe. So my parents were stationed in East Germany, which used to be East Germany when Germany was still divided, and East Germany was part of a Soviet bloc. So my parents were in the military, so they were stationed in East Germany for a number of years, and so I just happened to be born there. But I grew up in a very Russian military community where people spoke Russian, so I picked up some German, but it's mostly phrases and words here and there that I learned. But I mostly spoke Russian growing up. But following collapse of Soviet Union and withdrawal of all the Soviet troops from places like East Germany, my parents also left and they came back to where my mother's parents used to live. And it's a southern part of Russia, close to the Caucasus Mountains. Um, and then eventually, as there's a lot of dramatic things are happening in Russia at the time in the 1990s, a very chaotic time. My parents had a chance to leave Russia and pursue opportunities in the United States, and eventually were granted visa and that's how I ended up in Fresno. It's just, it's an accident. There was no, I had no idea what Fresno is, what it looked like. I was just excited to be in California.
So you were very involved, ASG president. Where did you find your calling? I mean, did you have an idea in high school or once you got to Fresno through classes, or how did you sort of develop your drive and your goals?
I think growing up in Russia, I always had this somewhat of a dream to work in a career of public service, to be a public servant in a way, to work towards betterment of our community, advocating on behalf of other people. But in Russia at the time when I was growing up, I didn't really have a lot of outlets for those goals of, desires to be involved in that kind of work. So when I first enrolled in Fresno City College, I found out about opportunity to join associated students. And when I learned more about the range of programs that they organize and opportunities to really advocate on behalf of students, to be part of shared governance system, to have a dialogue with faculty and staff to make our campus better and make sure that students' voices are being heard as much as it's possible, given the priorities and objectives of our institution.
Mhm.
So that was very exciting to me. And, the fact that you could also run and participate in election and actually being forced to talk to students and ask them to vote for you, it was intimidating, but also exciting in many ways. Yeah, and ever since I found out about this opportunity, I tried to get myself involved in associated students, and I had fantastic times. We had a great group of students. I learned a lot. I think I've grown a lot in terms of my professional skills, in terms of learning how to work together as a unit, how to try to lead people, and also, resolving conflicts when they arise, when they emerge. So it was a great experience, and I definitely look back at Fresno City College was a very fond memories.
So you're a very confident leader. Is that where it started, or were you always a, confident individual? I mean, I've always known you. I remember you being more a little on the quiet side, but yet you got everything done and you did network with everyone on your in your Senate and so forth.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I would call myself a very confident person in general. I think I have gained more confidence over time, and I think being at Fresno City College and being in that position of SG president definitely helped to boost that confidence, and realizing that you can accomplish things and that you can work together and collaborate and cooperate and facilitate that communication and make sure that people in their respective areas of responsibility can accomplish their tasks on time as much as it's possible. But
So,
you're also right. I think generally tend to be more on the quiet side. Uh, I try not to dominate conversation. I try to give everyone space to talk and participate equally without feeling relegated to the margins of conversation.
did you have a mentor at all at City or at UC Santa Barbara or UC Davis?
I can't point to just one individual. I think I was just very fortunate to have a group of very supportive faculty and staff in Fresno City College and student activities department. I think there was, everybody were always very kind and very understanding. A lot of my professors are also very supportive, and I would talk to them about my plans and goals of possibly going to graduate school. They're always very supportive. So I felt that people always believed in me, that even whenever I encountered a problem or made a mistake, that um, it would not be held against me in perpetuity, that people would understand that we all make mistakes and that um, at some point you just have to move on. So I can't point to one single individual, but there are just many people, probably too many to even think about, who just at different points of my journey played a very important role by just sometimes just being very encouraging, or sometimes providing was a very helpful advice, or other times really being there for me. Yeah.
What challenges personally or professionally have you encountered as you follow your calling and profession?
Um, there was always a lot of uncertainty. I mean, and still to this day, you can say of what exactly I am going to do. I think I have a broad range of passions and things I'm really excited about that range from education, of doing research, of working in archives, to being involved in local politics and working for improvement and betterment of our community. And sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what is exactly what I want to do and how do I get there. Um, and there's still a little bit of, I guess, an anxiety over the future, just given the job market in academia has always been challenging in the past decade or so, and maybe even longer. But now, especially in COVID-19 um, environment, many universities stopped hiring. So there's always been some kind of a uncertainty on the horizon. Um, but I think it's important to stay optimistic. I think it's important to stay focused on the goals at hand and then try to deal with issues as they emerge and as they arrive. And not, I think it's important to live in the present and not live in the future that hasn't had yet happened. And yeah, just be staying focused on the future. I think is important.
What advice can you share with students who find themselves now in this upside down world? How would you encourage them to stay with their studies?
It's a great question. I think it's something that we, on our level, among graduate students and faculty in our department, always talk. How do we continue to motivate students and inspire them? Um, my advice is to, I think now more than ever, it's important to seek out sources or resources to help you succeed. And if that means maybe reaching out to your teaching assistant, reaching out to your professors, going online to see what kind of resources and support can campus offer in this time. It is more than ever important to be flexible as well, and not feel so discouraged that because you cannot be in campus that they hope your university experience is going to be ruined. It's definitely not going to be the same, but there's still a lot to learn. There's a lot to uh, appreciate about this educational process. And I think at least my philosophy is that always try to be there for my students whenever they need help. If they reach out to me with questions, with advice, I'm always try to make myself available and schedule time to give them as much as possible in terms of the experience in my classes, given the limitations of online education. So I think staying focused, staying optimistic, and also being proactive and seeking out the resources and support that students might need is key to successfully finishing this, um, hopefully pandemic and their degree soon.
So, given that you touched on a little bit, but there are a lot of opportunities in front of you. You'll be finishing your PhD program soon. What is your dream for yourself? What does your dream career look like at this stage?
Yeah, I'm hoping to finish. So I'm writing my dissertation right now, and I'm hoping to complete it and submit it and defend it by the end of next year. So it would be summer 2021. I'm ideally, I would like to be able to teach and do research at university level. I really enjoy working as an educator. I really enjoy creating lectures. I really enjoy sharing my knowledge, my experiences, and I also really like to work in archives, which is that's a very lonely and solitary experience. But I find great excitement in looking at old documents and trying to interpret different languages and put these pieces of a puzzle together to create a narrative and interpret what happened in the past. What does it mean for our present time? So I think in the perfect world, I would like to be able to teach and, if possible, do some research occasionally and then publish articles and such.
Well, your career sounds fascinating. Your story, your journey, it's just inspiring, Sergey. Is there anything else that you want to share with students listening? I know we're in a crazy time. Hopefully, things will, of course, pass and improve, but it has been rough. I know for Fresno City College students, just being in a virtual classroom it's challenging. We're hear a lot about students taking time off from their education. Anything you want to share as we get close to closing?
I I guess I would say that I have a lot of great memories of being at Fresno City College, and I think there are a lot of professors and people who work on that campus who really care about their students. Um, and I would guess my advice would be to try to look beyond the problems at the present and try to make the best of this situation. It is not ideal. I know a lot of students struggling to even find a quiet place to study because I also have housemates, and I'm fortunate to have my office to go to do work, but I know it's not the same for everybody. Um, but hopefully, to stay optimistic, reaching out to the people on campus who can be of support, and stay focused on the long-term goals. I think that would be advice that I would give.
Well, Sergey, thank you so much. Were you going to say one more thing?
I was just gonna say, if anybody wants to also reach out to me, and if I can be of help or resource in any way possible, I'll be happy to also to do that.
So if they were going to do that, how would they reach you? Is there a way for them to reach you?
I think the best way to do it over in my email is to send me an email. They can just Google my name and add UCSB to it. So Sergey Saluschev, and then UCSB, you'll find my profile on the university department webpage, and they'll find my email address there.
It was so wonderful. I saw your handsome profile and I'm like, oh my goodness, we need to connect. I want to hear what you've been doing because it's been a little while since 2006. You've been busy and you look great and you've got a great future ahead of you. I want to thank you, Sergey, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Miley.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, so Ram fans, just want to remind you, we are rewarded for what we create. Keep dreaming those dreams so you can achieve them and stay inspired. Thank you. Bye, Sergey.
Bye.
Bye.